All right, thank you so very much for coming around today for the other section on natural language processing for linguists with a focus on data annotation, creation, and publication. So today we're going to be going a bit more of practical, and then we're going to be doing text to speech, or speech to text, whatever we want to call it, annotation. We're going to be talking about morphological annotation. We're going to be talking about um, multimodal, or let's say sign languages or the annotation, whatever we want to call it. But we're gonna go through these things in theory. Then we'll talk about maybe text-to-speech annotation or speech-to-text annotation in Praat. So when we do Praat, then we do other ones. That is if time permits. So let me go through the content. So linguistics and natural language processing data annotation. So what are the focus? We have speech annotation in Pratt, multimodal annotation in ELAN, natural language processing annotation. I'm going to be using light tag and annotator IO, and of course the Excel sheet for this one. So the NLP is pretty straightforward and easy, I believe. So it's just setting up the platform that may be tedious, but it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so what do we do in speech annotation? Introduction to Praat. This is the process of naming or labeling signals. So when you are dealing with speech annotation, you are dealing with waveform. You are annotating waveform. You are going to be mapping the waveform, which is the phoneme you hear, to their graphemes. So you can have the grapheme, then you map them to their phonemes. Then you can do acoustic analysis for further statistical modeling. So I have a paper with Dr. Akimbo and all where we did statistical modeling. I have another one being prep where I try to answer why a language does not have a particular vowel based on the vowel harmonic pattern. So I modeled the vowel harmonic pattern using the acoustic properties. So that is what I did in the paper. It's going to be out very soon, but there is one acoustic analysis of a genre of music, Esa Nijala Yoruba language. So what I did there is we try to model what you hear in the Esa, what you hear in the Ijala. So it's pretty interesting. All right, so that is what we do. We did speech annotation. Okay, multimodal data annotation. It's talking about ELAN. It involves annotation of video, audio, and other paralinguistic information. Maybe you want to pick the semantic annotation, you want to pick Googie bodies, whatever you want to pick in your annotation, this is what you do in ELAN. Then we have movie subtitling. So if you are working on a video content, sometimes data annotation involves that you are giving YouTube data to annotate. In that case, you can use ELAN for your annotation. And then if you have read about what is dominant in NLP is sign language. And then how do you use ELAN to annotate sign language? We're going to look at that in brevity. So we're going to be doing projects. I will talk about that pretty much later. For now, let's focus on this. We're going to be doing projects. I've grouped us into some groups. I'll share the document. If you follow the link I shared earlier, you would see the group you belong, and then we'll discuss how we move things from there. So morphological annotation. So there has been a lot of agitation that says that, okay, can we tag, can we do morpheme annotation? For me, I actually believe more on morpheme annotation than part of speech annotation, POS tagging. And the reason is because there are many languages that are rich morphologically that do not really rest on syntactic patterning to make sense of their annotation. So for you to understand what a word means, you need to break it down into morphemes. For example, in Yoruba, we have what people call tomorph. A tomorph is a tone that shows up in an expression that is used to mark the subject of of an action. If I say almond, that is mid-tone, low, mid-tone. If I say almond, that is child, low, go. The tone on these words are mid-tone. Now, if I want to say the child went, that's I want to give the child the subject marker to show that it is the child that went. I'm going to say almond, low, that is mid, high, mid. So that high tone there, it's a tone mark. It is marking grammatical information showing that the almond, which is child, is now the subject of the verb law. Now, with morpheme annotation, we can tag tones. So how do we use this? How do we do it? Let's see. I'm going to be showing also some ideas. And then we can do morpheme and morpheme glossing. We can capture tones in morphemes using tone morphs. All right. So this is what we do in Flex. Natural language processing annotation. Natural language processing annotation talks about NLP tasks, natural language processing tasks. We discussed this in, I think, last 2 weeks because we couldn't miss last week. Talk about sentiment analysis, part of speech tagging, name material window. Then we are using light tags and annotator IO. Thank you so very much. All right, so now I'm going to be going to Praat. So this is when you open Praat. I think I have put the link to download Praat for a long time ago. In fact, I put it in the questionnaire that I asked us to answer. But if you don't have Praat, just type on your Google Praat download, Praat software download. You would see the first link, just download it. When you download it, you're gonna be seeing these two windows. Now, this is the Praat object window, and this is the Praat picture window. The Praat,
sorry.
You're not seeing my screen?
We're not seeing it.
Yeah, we are still seeing the slide.
Oh,
we're not seeing the Praat.
I see. I'm sorry about that. So I think I decided to share, so I'm gonna stop sharing. So I'm gonna share Praat. So I think I may have to share my entire screen so that
yeah, we are seeing the slide again. Yeah, so you have to share your screen, your entire screen. Yeah, we are seeing it now.
All right, thank you. So when you download Praat, I think some of us can use Praat, but okay, let's just explain. I mean, just better like that. All right, so we have the Praat object, then we have the Praat picture window. Now the Praat object window is where you code, it's where you work on your files. The Praat picture window is for data visualization, just like you have heard the name, Praat picture window. Now I'm gonna quickly talk a bit about the Praat picture window, but I will leave you to do some exploration. You see this circle, this triangle that is, so this is square or triangle that is in pink. That circle inside the pink, it's where you're gonna be plotting your graphs. You want to visualize your data, you want to do format analysis, whatever thing you want to do is here. So if I plot from the Praat object, it's going to show in the Praat picture. So most of the time, we don't need the Praat pictures, especially that we are doing speech to text annotation. So we just have to minimize it. Now, here is your Praat object. So if you look at the first thing you see at the menus, you have the Praat, you have the new, you have the open, you have the save. The Praat new here is talking about Praat scripting. So what is Praat scripting? Praat scripting is a way of automating your task in Praat. So you can automate your tasks. For example, if you are doing speech to text annotation, it already means you have the text. So you want to automatically tag them with their phonemes. So there are different scripts online. I don't know whether I'm going to show you in this first iteration of the video. Maybe next week I may bring it to class. So we can just pick the Praat script and then you would automate it. So you put the text in a plain text, you copy it, then you pick the audio, You put it in Praat, you automate it with the script is going to automatically tag. You don't have to segment your speech. All right, so when you want to use Praat script, you make sure that you create a folder, you put the Praat script in that folder, you put the audio in the same folder, you put the text if you are doing text to speech. I mean, you have the text, you want to mark with the speech. You put it in the same folder, then you open the script, you select the files, the two files, that's in the case of you have the text and you have the audio, then you select the script and you run the script. But I'm going to show us another time. The aim here is for you to learn how to annotate in Praat. Now, in new, what you have is you have record mono sound, you have record stereo sound. In the record mono sound, it means that you want to record with one channel. So when you are recording, you can record in one channel or you record in two channels. It means that when you are recording, you have two channels combined in one. Many scholars have suggested that one should make sure that one record always in stereo sound. Why? Because if you have buffering of sound, have you found a case where you record a sound and you are like it is playing but you can't hear anything? That's a buffering sound. So if you record in stereo sound, it's easier for one channel to be disrupted, the other one will cover for it, and you have a good sound. Maybe I should point out at this point that the format of a standard or linguistically rich sound should be in .wav format. And why do people prefer your data to be in WAV format? The reason is because WAV format is meant to be that when you record, you hear what you have spoken to the mic. You see, when you have MP3 format, MP3 format shows that the sound format has been adulterated. If you record in the studio and your sound engineer is trying to figure out your natural voice, to tone it into your natural voice, you discover that they are trying to manipulate the format. I may not be able to go deep into acoustic analysis, but I will do my best. All right. Now, let me give you an analogy. If you have seen somebody sing before, sometimes you notice that their voice when they are talking is not the same thing as their voice you hear when you are listening to their song. It's as if their voice when they are singing is sweeter than when they are speaking. It simply tells you that the speaking is natural while the singing is adulterated. So you have to stay away from adulterated sound when you are processing speech for machine. Now, in our first lecture, I mentioned something. I said the process of converting speech sound into integers or into number. I mentioned the process of converting speech to integers. So what we are doing in Praat here, we are trying to understand the content and we are trying to tag them with phonemes. We are trying to understand the wave, we are trying to tag them with their respective phonemes. So I said we record in stereo and we put it in .wav format. Why? We put it in .wav format because that is the format that precludes that whatever you put in the mic or in the transducer, the converter, is what you hear. I mean, the signal you put in the sound is what you hear when you hear it. So I'm going to assume that I want to record a stereo sound. So if you look at this, when I click stereo, if you look at this, we have at these channels, we have mono, we have stereo. Then we have sampling frequency. Now, the sampling frequency explains that at what rate do I begin to sample this voice so that when you are processing it, maybe you are using Montclair force aligner, it picks the sound and converts it to machine sound. So this is what I'm saying. If I record in mono, it's gonna give us just one channel, but now I've chosen to record in stereo, which is what scholars advise. Now, at the sampling frequency, it is always advised to record at 22,050 hertz. Why? Because this is a sampling rate for humans. 4,100 hertz is believed to be the sampling rate for machines. So when I pick Praat assumes that I am working on this machine, so it picks 4,100 hertz. The reason for this is beyond the scope of this class. Hopefully, I may have to record that. So I'm going to put my sampling rate at 2,050 hertz. So to record, I'm going to click record. Samuel is a big boy. I'm going to stop it. So now I have recorded my sound. I'm going to name it. Let's say Samuel 001. So I can save to list if I want to record again. I can play what I've recorded. I can play what I've recorded. I can save to list that if I want to record another one, that I can save and close. I will choose save and close. Now, I am assuming that I didn't have the audio sound. So when is it really practically good for you to record your sound? If you have worked on sampling projects, you discover that if you work on APEN, whatever platform you're working on, you see clients will instruct you that, okay, record this particular word 50 times. You say somewhere, 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 like 50 times. Some other times your client may say, okay, record this particular part of the sounds 20 times. Some will say, record this while you are lying down. Some will say, record this while you are kneeling down. Some will say, record it while you are standing up. Some will say, record this when you have chocolate in your mouth. So this is when you can record in Praat. All right. So, but for other cases, which is most of what I do, at least from my work experience, I have the audio. I just have to do the annotation. So suppose that I have the audio. Data set is always hours of recording, thousands of hours of recording. So you can either choose to read from file or you open sound file. Now, if you read from file, most of the time it shows that you are already annotating. Maybe you stopped annotating and you want to begin again. Or you have a sound file that is like 1 minute or 2 minutes. If you choose a sound file when you have an audio of 1 hour, it may not open in Praat. It may not. So most of the time what we do is we open long sound file. But for the sample I want to work on, it's a very short file. So I'm going to go to pick the file. So I want to pick the sound. Okay, I had the file, but now it's disappearing. It's Telegram. Oh, why this is not here? I don't really know. Let's see, we have Telegram.
Can you search for it? Like probably put the name Samuel-001.
No, I have that already. I'm just gonna give us a sample of the fact that you could have a file. So let me go to, I just wanna go pick one of my works.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
I just wanna pick a sample so that we can just see. So I'm trying to look for one of my works. So I actually have a project I'm working on, but I may not, for work reasons, I may not be able to show us that, but I'm going to show us a sample of what I do, my field work. So yeah, basically, I do field work analysis. That's what I do. Oops, you can see this guy again. Uh, uh, put it somewhere. Just give me a couple of seconds. I copied it somewhere. It's not just showing. I have if a dialect. Okay, I'm gonna pick. I assume this is my audio file. So I'm gonna pick it. All right. So you know this first one, Samuel 001, was the one I recorded in Praat, right? Then I showed you how to actually pick a file in if you have the audio given to you by the client. Right. So most of the time, let me explain again. Most of the time, your client will have it in the cloud, but sometimes they have a platform they want you to go and download it from. Most of them, at least from my experience, they use Nextcloud. Nextcloud is like a platform. It's more like a music platform, but then it's just for professional work, just like Slack. Okay, so assuming I downloaded my audio and then I want to begin annotation. So once I have my audio file, I select the audio file I want to annotate. Then you see this menu by this right corner here. It's where I modify and query my annotation. So what I want to do is I want to annotate. You see, I click on annotate, then I click annotate to test grid, then I have this dialog box. Now this dialog box simply means that I should create tiers. So what are tiers? Tiers are like line by line of what you want to elicit in the data. Suppose that I am working on text-to-speech annotation, or let's say speaker identification annotation. And I want to know, okay, this is when Aremu said this is where Samuel said that, this is where Johnson said this is where Victor said that is speaker identification. And then these are the things I'm going to be creating slide for, tiers for. In our case, we are doing phonemes to graphemes annotation. So we're going to have phonemes as our first tier. We want to pick the phonemes, so the things we want to pick in the audio. We put a space. That space means another line. We may want to annotate the words. You can say syllable, but we can just give words, like we are focusing on the phonemes. Right? So we put space. Then we can have the sentence, and then we leave it. We don't have to put sentences. We don't have to put space. Now, point here, we don't technically need it most of the time, so we clean it up. Then we hit enter. Pop. Oh, that went up. Sorry about that. Okay, if you see, we add 2 files here before now. Now we have 3 files. The text grid, the sound I picked, the sound I recorded. Now, I'm gonna pick the sound, any sound I want to annotate. Let's say I want to pick the one I imported from my desktop. I hold Control key. I hold Control key on my keyboard. Then I select the 2 files simultaneously. I select both the audio file and the text grid I created. How did I create the text grid again? I'm going to go over it again. Suppose I have the audio file. I select the audio file. I go to annotate. I create annotate to test grid. Now remember I've created these tiers before now. I'm going to click OK. It's going to create a test grid for me. So to annotate, I'm going to select the test grid and the audio file by holding the control keyboard and selecting the 2 files simultaneously. I hope that is clear enough. Now I'm going to click on view and edit. Praat is going to load. Okay, I don't know, it's hanging. Just exercise some patience. The file is long, like the audio file I picked it's like a field work I did in Ife. Long is like, is it 3 or 4 hours of recording? So it's gonna take some time to load. Just exercise patience. Right. So when Praat loads, this is where you see. So if you observe, you see that I have channel 1, channel 2. This first demarcation you are looking at here, it's the wave. The second demarcation is the spectrogram. Then the last demarcation, they are the tiers. You see the phonemes, the words, the sentence. Now, if you look at it, you see we have the visible part, then we have the total duration part. You will see that there is a difference between the visible part and the total duration part. The total duration part seems to be longer. You see, we have like 895 million here, right? So in this part, you notice that we have invisible part is shorter than the total duration. And the reason for this is because the visible part is what Pratt can capture at a time. The spectrogram, you only see the spectrogram when it is 10, when the audio is no longer than 10 seconds. So if I select the audio now and it is just within 10 seconds, you're going to see the spectrogram show up. I won't do that yet. Let's move. Now, there is this down part. There is all. There is in, there is out, there is self, there is back, B-A-K. Now, what this simply means is I want to zoom into all, I want to zoom in, I want to zoom out, I want to zoom to selection, and I want to zoom back. All right. Before I go further, I need to state here that channel 1, channel 2 shows that I recorded these audio files in stereo mode. So I can go and select. Now, it's better you select all so that you can start the annotation from the beginning. So I'm going to click all. Now, you see that the separation that we have between the visible part and the total duration has been cancelled, right? In this right angle here. Now, observe again that we now have 3 channels. We have one that is selected, I mean, this third one, then we have the visible part, then we have the total duration. Now, this first part simply shows that if you click it, you will hear it is meant for the portion that you selected, to hear the portion that you selected. Now, visible part means you just want to hear the visible part alone. Now, in Praat, I'm gonna assume that I have this portion. Now, because I don't know where to start from, I don't know how to even start. So it is better I click from the beginning to a portion. I will click zoom to selection. I will click zoom to selection. Now, you see that the portion I selected is still long. It's more. Now, this is the first thing the woman is saying here. The woman is saying Akesa. And then what am I doing with this research? This research I'm trying to pick up the total harmony based on what Ori said of some Yoruba dialects. She did some for Akoresh. Now, this is Ife dialect, and it's very, very interesting. You may wait for the research to be out. I'm going to share it. All right. So, I selected a portion and I zoomed to selection. So how do I start annotating? So I would first need to annotate the sentence. So I want to know where the sentence starts. So I'm going to play. So the woman actually said it is sackcloth, which is a sentence. So she started talking here. Well, then I'm going to play again to be sure. I'm going to play again to show. I want to be sure. Sorry, you can't hear it. I can only hear because I'm using my iPhone. So I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna put this here. So I'm gonna type in what the woman is saying. So let's say this is sackcloth. I'm assuming I'm working on English. Right. Sackcloth. So I want to annotate the words. So I'm gonna click. I'm gonna assume it's starting here, right? I'm gonna click inside the box. I'll make sure I am at the tier I want to annotate. Then I'm gonna hear again. Remember that I have break this down to sentence. I can zoom to selection again. Why do I have to zoom to selection again? I have to zoom to selection again so that I can thoroughly pick each sound easily. Because you see, if I am at this portion, it becomes a bit difficult for me to actually pick the words. Right. Now imagine I am now at all. You see, I can't even see what I selected. So it's better you zoom to selection, and then you can now begin to investigate word by word. So I assume I started hearing here. So the woman says something here to this point. This is a low sound. I'm going to explain this some other time. I'm trying to pick. Now this is also a low sound. So now this is where she said the first word. So I'm going to click inside it. I'm going to type it. She says sack here. Then this portion, I'm going to select this portion. You see this small box you're looking at? That is, you will click inside it. So I'm going to click inside it. Now, suppose I have selected some portion and I made a mistake I want to edit. I can move it. I can double click, hold, and move to the portion I want to hear. Hear it again. Then she stopped talking here. I'm going to type it in. Now, I have annotated the words and the sentence. So I want to annotate the sound. So I am at the first tier. So I click inside the box again. See the small box? I try to hear it. So she made here. I'm going to make sure I'm hearing the right thing. I'm going to play repeatedly. Sorry, I'm going to annotate in Yoruba, in Ife now here. Just to, this is the portion I want the most, right? And then I want to be sure, I want to hear the next sound. Okay. She's making a short So this particular voice bar you're looking at here shows a plosive. I think I'm gonna teach how to read spectrogram some other time. But for now, let's just learn how to annotate. Okay, so so I want to make sure I am hearing it. So I keep moving my bars all around just to pick the phoneme. Now this is so I'm going to put here. Remember, I said that when we are doing this kind of annotation, we are mapping phonemes and we are mapping graphemes and their wave. This is A. This is short, what we call short vowel E in English, and what an African or Yoruba scholar will call minus ATR E. So we have the minus ATRE. So if you want to type in the phonetic alphabet, You can see the phonetic symbol by the right. So you can go here to pick. I'm trying to look for, I think this is it. So you see I've selected it. I'm looking for sir. So sir, I want to pick sir. So I'm gonna assume it's around here because this black format shows that it's a vowel, like it's not a consonant yet. So right on point. So I want to pick a. I already know this is a low vowel and it is lengthened for some reasons beyond the scope of this course. Now, the woman said, Akesane. So the R is minus a TR, the A is minus a TR, the I is minus a TR. Whatever I want to look at, of course, in standard Yoruba, the I is neutral, so it can collocate with the both minus a TR and plus a TR segment. But for the scope of this, so I'm trying to pick, she said, Akesane. So I'm trying to pick the and A. So here I have the So, and how did I guess that this is You see that this portion I selected looks a bit like the portion I have not selected here, but it's not so much because this is a semi-vowel. If you look at this portion here, it's way, way different from this portion because this is a vowel and this is a consonant. I'm going to talk more on this some other time. So I want to pick I want to pick a. So around here, I want to select this, and then listen again. So I think I put the some portion around here. Now the A I'm having here, it's having format 3 very high because it is nasalized. So I'm gonna pick N minus ATR. All right, so this is how you annotate in Praat. So suppose you are done annotating. You see, you can't give your client these test grade, right? So you want to make sure you export it. So you can export, you can extract selected tier. That's tier 1, right? You can extract it. When you extract it, you will not see anything here. You see it, it is right here in the object. So you're gonna click save. You're gonna click save as text file. So now we have the phonemes. So we can determine the format we want our exported data to be. So most of the time I use TXT, that is plain text, just to make it a bit easier for machine to read and for me to do some other manipulations I want to do. So I'm going to put .txt. I'm going to change the saving to, yeah, I can put it here because I can put it here. So now I have saved the file. Let me show you how it looks like. Oh, try to search for this. Or I'm gonna save it again. This is not, it's wasting my time, so I'm gonna save as text. I'm gonna keep it in desktop, documents. I'm gonna put the txt. I think I'm gonna it again. Save it. So I'm gonna go to my desktop, my document. So I'm looking for phonemes. Did it save or what? But of course, I have one here. I want to show you how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. Basically, this one means this in itself is a Pratt object. So you can use this on a Montreal force aligner processing you want to use. It's gonna pick every line like it's written in a form of code, Python code precisely, or you call it in Java. So you see, it has class, it has name, and it has everything. So you don't have to worry about this. They know what to do about it, but you just have to solve this file, and you are good to go. Right. So that is how it is done in Praat. So for today, we're gonna be focusing on just Praat, and then when we meet next week, I'm gonna be showing us how to annotate in Elan. Then maybe when we are doing annotation, I can show us how to do some automation and some scripting in Pratt. Thank you so very much. And then I would love to take your questions. Do you have questions? Do you have questions? You can just type, you can ask your questions. Okay, somebody type in chat. All right. Do you have questions? Yes, you have to type all by hand. Yeah, it's rigorous. You see, when I was working in a lab, I got to type, but when I got hold of it, I kind of automate my task. And then it was more like, oh, whoa, this guy is a genius. I'm never a genius. I just found a way around it. So what I did was I looked for scripts online and I automated my task and I can move faster. And if you practice, way, way simple. When you see Elan, you're going to open your mouth. It's crazy. Elan can do. And then, yes, I think I should mention one thing. We can do feed forward annotation. Now, feed forward is a type of speech to text neural networks. Okay. Don't let me do it today. We're gonna do it next week. So if you want to train a model, if you want to train your own model in Pratt, everything in Pratt without coding, you go to, I'm gonna leave you to explore it. You go to new, you go to feed forward neural network, you create, so you can just test it. Okay, let me just do it. You can just test it. You can click OK. So now you you select categories, and then you select the FNet, or you select pattern iris, and then you select these. Then you go to categories, and then if you want to do stochastic, or you want to do whatever you want to do, you click OK. It's going to create another one for you. Then you can get entropy. Entropy. I think it's better I explain this next week, so that I don't bore you with a lot of. So, but you can do text to speech. You can train a model without coding right in front here. It's pretty straightforward. Right. So let me ask you questions concerning annotation. You can read Max entropy by this Bruze's mass entropy. You can go to the website, you see max entropy. It's a way of to model like the maximum part of the word inside a speech content. I mean, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. But you can train your model here, and it's acceptable. I was hoping to do something on speech impairment with one of my bosses, Mr. Uni. That is his research interest. But I'm not ready to disturb him again with my trouble. So I've not really talked to him about it. But we can just do feed forward neural network with that his work, and his result is very interesting. You can check them out. So do you have questions?
Yeah, so thank you so much for the class. So the question I actually like want to ask is multi-phase, but like I would try to like conjoin it as much as I can. So the first question is like, is it just like speech and text related work you can use Praat for? So that's one. So the second is, so I see you can actually do like a morpheme to grapheme, and say, let's say you just have a file wave and you annotate it into like a sentence. Like, like we actually did 3 layers of annotation, which was the morpheme to grapheme in relation to like what you could hear from this speech wave itself. Then we broke it down before we got to the full sentence level. So aside these 3 that we've seen, are there other subcategories that could be leveraged on? So, the first question would then lead to the second one.
Okay, so what's your first question again?
So the first question is, Praat, is it only for speech to text, text to speech related task that it could be used for?
Okay, please let me answer that. I'm not so getting it. All right, so yes, anything that deals with sound, acoustic analysis, statistical modeling, you can see we can train a model, a speech model here. So yes, technically just speech, anything that deals with speech, acoustic, sound properties, entropy analysis, whatever thing you can do, yeah, you can do it in Praat. It's speech. And then concerning whether we can have other things, yes, we can have speaker recognition. Whatever you want to do, it all depends. Okay, assuming that I want to annotate speaker recognition. So I'm going to go to test grid and I want to pick when Aremu is speaking. So I can have, I may not name it for identification reasons, your client will say redact. So even if you know them, you have to redact. I remember I worked on a project and I heard people that I know, like scholars that I know, and I put their name. I lost the job because they told me that I have to redact the identity. So sometimes for identity reasons, you have to keep it away. So you can give it speaker 1 space speaker 2. Actually, you can have speakers. You can have speaker 2 depending on how much you wanna work on. So let's say we have speaker 1, speaker 2, space. Remember, space means another line. Then we can have speakers. So I have speakers there because I want to chunk it. So I can click OK. I'm going to select the audio file, holding Control and selecting the 2 files together. I'm going to view and edit. Sorry, I saw the question on tone. I'm going to answer it, please. Just give me 1 minute. All right, so I want to begin my annotation. I will click, I can drag, or I select a portion. I'm not sure where it is starting from. I want to hear speakers, so just speakers. So when they start talking, I put it here. Let's say this is where they start talking. Here. So I zoom to selection as usual. I want to hear just that. What I said here is Samuel is a big boy, and it is Samuel that is talking, assuming Samuel is speaker 1. So I'm going to select here. So I'm going to click enter. So I'm going to, no. What I did, I selected another from another tier, sorry. So now you see that I selected from another tier, which I don't want to. So let's say, how do I do it? I'm going to go to, how do I remove it? I'm going to go to boundary. I'm going to go to remove. Then I do remove again. I will click inside here to remove the one to the left. Then I'm going to click remove. You see, I remove that. So I'm going to click another tier. This is tier speaker 1, right? Then I'm going to select, I'm going to click the part and I'm going to drag. Then I'm going to click enter. Now I'm going to name it speaker 1, speaker underscore 1. Then I go like that. Then I go back here. Let's say Aremu is the one talking here. Of course, we don't know who Aremu is. Remember, I've selected tier 2, which is in yellow. I'm going to click enter. This is speaker 2. Speaker underscore 2. Then I keep going like that and like that. It all depends on what you're working on. It all depends on what you're working on. Did I answer your question a bit?
Yeah, yeah. So that is for when you have, say, like multiple people recording all at the same time.
If you want to take maybe conversational AI.
Yeah. So like just hold on. Let's say you have an hour-long audio in, let's say you use what's the name of this tool? I've forgotten. But let's say you just have like an hour and let's say 3 people recorded. So in such task, and you want to like cut each of the speakers away, like into, okay, speaker 1 use, let's say, the first 20 minutes, speaker 2 use the next and the next. So this is like how you can go about it, right?
Okay, yes. So now let's say you want to extract them speaker by speaker and have them as different audio files. I'm going to view and edit again. Let's say I want to pick the audio file of speaker 1. I want to pick the audio file of speaker 2 in all the annotation I did. Of course, you can do that. So you go to Praat object, you click extract, you click then you click extract not empty intervals. So if you extract all intervals, the person I did not select and the person I selected will be extracted, so it will be too much. But if I extract non-empty interval, it means only the interval I labeled. So I will click extract all empty interval, then I will talk about which tier do I want. Is it tier 1 or tier 2? Let me say I'm doing tier 1 first. Now, you remember I only labeled speaker 1 in tier 1. So I will click save. You remember I said we save our file in WAV. I will save as WAV file. And I'm going to click speaker 1. So I can have speaker 1 underscore 001 so that I can differentiate all the speaker 1 voices. So here now, I'm going to have speaker 1 001. I'm going to click save. Now I have the audio file. So I can compile it. Now, if I had done all the annotation, I can do this all at once, and I will save them as different audio files. And it doesn't affect the sound file that I have on Praat.
So this does mean it's what I have an idea I can map to. It doesn't matter what, because I define what I want.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. I do. All right. So I think somebody has a question about tone. Now, there is a question. How do we show tone in Praat? Good question. All right. So the first question, if you want to talk about linguistic properties, for example, you ask yourself, what is the acoustic correlate of tone? Pitch, isn't it? So, for example, say I want to show the tone of this. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to first, the acoustic correlate is pitch. So I'm going to, when I'm done annotating, maybe I have some portion. Okay, let's say I want to check for speaker 1. I'm going to click pitch. I show pitch. Now it's showing. No, sorry, I removed it now. You see, this blue line you're looking at is the pitch. And if you observe, it started off rising down, rising down. Now you see the yellow line you see there, underneath blue line is the intensity. Now, if I want to pick the pitch, which is the correlate of tone, I can draw visible pitch contour. So now I will draw visible pitch contour, I can use speckle. Then I can click OK. It's gonna show Praat object. Now you see that. Now what my friend has done here is to show the page control. Now this is visualization. How is this important for NLP? So I'm gonna get, instead of drawing it, I can even draw it with how will I say it now? With the text grid. Let me do that. No, sorry, I wanted to click OK. No. You see what I did? You can Control Z. So I want to select the portion I want you to plot at. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to try again. Page, draw visible page control and text grid. Click OK. You see that? So now I have both the text grid and then the annotation. Yeah, this is just for linguistic analysis. But if I want to do NLP, I'm going to go to page. I'm going to get page listing. Now, this is the list of page in the document. So any trained data scientist know the meaning of this. So what he's gonna do is gonna Control A, or you got just save the file, save as. You can say page underscore level dot txt. Click save. It has saved. You can convert it to string. I'm not gonna talk more about this. So this is so when you give this to a data engineer, it's gonna visualize based on the sample, based on the number you've given him. It's gonna pick it and then it's gonna visualize it. And then you can even pick a way to get the maximum page. So if you get the maximum page, if you go to Praat object, you see it's supposed to extract it. Let me try again. Show on page, get maximum page. It's not showing. It's supposed to show. Well, Praat can misbehave sometime. Get maximum shape. Good. Let me see. I think it's showing somewhere, right? Okay, yeah. So this is the maximum page. So you can use this to, you can just get the range. You can get a range. You can do bivariate analysis in statistics to get it whether it's statistically significant. This is beyond the scope of this, and I don't want to really go much into it. But of course, you can do tone in Praat. Thank you so very much. I think we are far away into the time today, but maybe because it is a bit more practical. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know who the person is. Huda, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. You did.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Do we have other questions?
All right. So apart from this, of course, we can also create another tier, that's a tier for tone, right? That's to
Yes.
show high, low, mid. We can have the tiers, right?
Yes, you can. It all depends on if the focus of your research is tone. Of course, just like you are doing for others, you just pick the, let's say you just pick the audio file, and then you go to annotate and take to text grid. This time around, I want to pick the tones. So first, I want to pick the, let's say I want to pick the words. I want to pick the phonemes, and I want to pick the tones. So I click OK. So I have done, if you read the paper I talked about concerning Ijala and Esa Yoruba language, you can check it online. This is what we did. This was the exact thing we did. All right. So I want to go to all. So what I want to do is I want to keep annotation. So I'm going to design the type of label I want to use. You know, for mid tone, for high tone, for low tone, on a single file line or within the word, I can have M001, M002, M003, like that. I001, I002, I003. I mean, it all depends on what we are working on. And then sometimes it's also important that we may have to do syllable. So let me say I want to add interval here. So let's say I forgot. Now I want to determine the position I want this to be. So I want it to be between phonemes and tones, right? So I can pick it and put it at number 2. So I'm gonna name it syllable. See that? Oh, I put it. Now I'm gonna tier. I'm gonna remove entire tier. So I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna add interval tier. I'm gonna put it on 3. So I'm gonna put it as syllable. Hit enter. Yeah. So now I have it. I want to have the tones, the syllable, the words. So I begin to pick it one after the other. Go to selection, and then just type whatever way I want to type, whatever thing I want to do, and then begin to pick. Now, once I pick, no, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. I think I was right the first time I did it. Sorry. I should have put it between. Oops, I've deleted the tones. I'm gonna remove this guy. It's the one causing the trouble. So I'm gonna add tier. I'm gonna add. We're gonna add tones. So now, I'm gonna pick the syllable. Once I pick the syllable, when I pick the phonemes, the phoneme will house the tone, depending on the type of language I'm working on, with the moral, whatever level I'm working on. So yeah, this is where we can just do the tone here, definitely. But then, even if we do it like this, we still need to extract it. As I said, quantization, the process of converting a word into numbers is called quantization. And we still have to do quantization. And why do I have to do quantization? I have to do quantization because machine do not read words. Machine read the number. If you observe, you see that when I extracted the page, what I was saying were numbers. It was not as if it cannot give us in words. It's just that Praat has been coded so that machine can understand it, or it can understand machine, either ways. So, and because machine reads in numbers, it has to be in numbers. So everything has to be in numbers. So you have to go back to statistics, you got to do some plottings, whatever thing you want to do, it all depends on the type of research you're working on. I don't know whether I attempted your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Right, do we have other questions? All right, so I believe we don't have any other questions. So we're gonna be meeting next week. So next week, I think I may go a bit deeper and talk about how to use spectrogram, how to do feed-forward neural networks in Praat, how to train your own model and stuff like that. I'm not really sure. I think I just want to first go over annotation and then go a bit deeper for us to really learn things. Thank you so very much for coming now, and then we're gonna be ending soon.